Hello again, my name is Gaute Espeland. In my series Building Homes Here Touch Graphics with Powerpoint and PaintNET, this is part number 4, toggles and scroll bars and some useful PowerPoint functions. In the first video, we were building a 3D tab dialog with PowerPoint like this and placing some icons on the tabs. In the second video, we were looking closely at the different folders under the skins directory and Homes Here Touch Designer. We were also cropping graphics and making the edges transparent with a free tool called PaintNET. In the third video, we were looking at the different options for constructing buttons and the different functionality according to how they were constructed. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a toggle like this, which is one of my favorite design elements in Homes Here Touch Designer. We're also going to have a look at a toggle like this, which is very nice to set up small switches like this, and we can even put them into holes like this to make them more believable. We're going to construct a slider like this with a background. Also going to show you a slider like this, which is not set into the background but staying on the outside. An example of this can be the volume slider of this design, which is taken from my iPhone to control the media center. Other sliders can have different graphical details like this or like this, and I'll show you briefly how to construct them. When working with design for iPhone, the space is limited. One particular challenge is to make room for the text explaining what the slider is for and the slider itself. This is an example of an iPhone design with a classical tab dialog with a button going back to the main menu and one tab for first floor, second floor, basement and outside. The idea here is to place the text behind the slider and then put the slider button as a semi-transparent button. Then you get the maximum ability to move the slider without sacrificing any space for the text explaining what the slider is for. Then you will produce the background graphic like this with the text staying on the background, putting the sliders with transparent backgrounds on top of this, and then at the end placing normal toggles with the text that toggles from white to yellow for lamps that doesn't dim but just switch on and off. Up to now we have just been working with the soft edged bevels, but there's a lot of other bevels to choose from to get special visual effects, like this one who makes a nice frame, and this one who's also making a suitable frame. We can put graphics in here, video, or maybe a cover from music. This is just the video projector that I have been taking from the net and making the edges transparent. If I go into Format Picture and pick Shadow, I can put a shadow under the video projector like this, and there's a lot of properties I can adjust this shadow with. One other thing I can do is to use reflection to build a reflection like this, which is a nice visual effect. It takes up some space, but it's very nice to look at. One very special effect is this artistic effects. This one is like melted plastic or something. Maybe it's practical for some reasons. The last one, but this one would probably be the most important one, is to use the glow, because this is very easy to use to get a visual representation of a device being on and off. And also this glow is transparent and fits nicely onto top of other graphics. We can put bulbs like this, and if we put a glow around them, we can turn them on and off. We can also put them in a hole like this to make it more visually appealing. These are just some examples of graphics that you can produce. This 3D extruding I will show you how to do, and this is just circles that is extruded and tilted a little bit so we can view the depth of the graphic. This is actually the same graphic element, just lofted in 3 different bevel types. These are a circle which is added with some extra object and then extruded with 2 different ways. This is extruded the same way. I'm not sure how we could implement this in HomeSeer, but maybe. This is a circle which we have cut out another circle and cut out across like this and just lifted it with the same one as this one, and this is a different one. I will show you how to make buttons like this at the end. Grouping is an important visual effect. This grouping here is maybe a bit too rough, but this one is more subtle. It's just 2 objects being cut off from each other and placed together. I would also like to remind you this old Windows fake 3D effect that can be achieved by placing 2 lines on top of each other and then moving the white line a couple of pixels to the right and a couple of pixels down. So these are the objects I'm going to explain how to produce in detail, so let's get started. First, let's build a toggle. We start with a small object like this. We have to make it 3D to be able to make a 3D hole in it. There's no possibility to make a 3D hole without the object being 3D, so there will also be 3D edges. So this our standard 3D object, bevel, a little bigger like this, shiny metal. Okay, we will not make a gradient this time, just a solid fill with 1 blue color, because this color will have to go away, and that's important that this is just 1 color. So we can park a copy of this up here for reference to pick up object style. Then we make a circle. If we hold down the shift key, it will be a perfect circle. So 1 circle, copy of it into it like this. You see that I have the snapping tool is already turned on. So now, well, the snapping tool is here, snap objects to other objects and display smart guides. So now I take this shape, draw on top of it, and it will now snap down to the circles on all sides. First you make it circular like this, and it will snap down to the circles like this. So now we can select this object and subtract, and there will be a hole. So for this we can now apply the object style, and we actually just need 1. We can now put the color here behind it like this, fill it with red and send it to the background. Send to back. So now we have the button with a red background. If we zoom in here, we see that there's a small line here, and this is, I have not taken away the outline. If I take away the outline, it will be shining like this, but it's better to keep the outline to cover up this shiny edge. So now we will need to cut out this graphic and make the edges transparent, and for that we use the good old reference line like this. No fill, red line, very thin. And now we're ready to export the graphics. Select everything, copy, go to paint.net, paste it, crop it, and zoom it. We have learned all this in the previous videos, so we can just cut it out and use the magic wand. Oops, I forgot to adjust the tolerance, must be very low. We can cut out this, and we have the graphic we need to save this for the toggle in HomeSeer. I won't do that now because you know how to do it, so I'll just go back and show you how we now zoom in. To select it, zoom in here, and by selecting this and use the arrow on the keyboard, I can now move the button over to the other side, exactly like this. Select the background, fill it with green, not the outline, the shape fill with green, zoom out, and I'm now ready to export, copy, paste. Do not expand the canvas, place it by the red edges, and then use the magic wand, take out, and we have number 2. So this was how to construct the toggle. So if we take up the designer, you can see that you can place as many as this you want, as long as you keep the color of the background the same as the color that was used to make the hole. This is a little different version of it, where I put the image pressed image as a gray in the middle button. So if we run the Windows client, you will see that when you press this, it will go to gray and then shift over. So let's go back and draw the next one. The slider is done in a much similar way. We start out with a one color background like this. Draw a circle, which will be the button of the slider. Then we take the object that will be the hole and make it snap to the button. Adjust the top, and we can now cut out the background and make the button 3D. If we want a transparent background, we can use it like this, or we could put something behind, maybe a different background color, send it to back, and make the fill some suitable color, maybe something like this. If we want the lines, we can always place some lines on here. Make it white. Oh, it's not completely like this. Then we can copy it, paste as many as we need. We can then select all of them by dragging around them and deselect this one, and then we can just left align them. Oh, I need this one too, and send them to back, and then send this one even further to the back, and the lines will come out nicely like this. Now we just take this one and store as the button, and remove it, put a red control line around it, and cut it in PaintNET. To make a slider that is lifted from the background, start with a button. Again, draw an area around it, make it snap. Then make a copy of this and make it snap back to the original, and move it out as much as we'd like the thickness of the border to be. Oops. Like this. If we send this to back, we can now take this one and subtract this one, and we have the edge. Apply the object style, and we have the slider as we planned. For the next slider, we'll use some more direct edges, so we will lift it with the 3D format like this, make it quite high like this, and we will first place the button as usual, and then the area that should be cut out, snap to the button, oops, and then cut it. This button we will lift with a 3D format like this, and if we make it very wide, it will make a very nice button like this. Remember that we can now place a different color on the top of this button and make that color transparent. In PaintNET, so it will, the lines behind the button will be visible through the button if you like that. If we want to put some lines here, we can do that. White lines, copy, select them. If you start to drag from outside, you can select like this, deselect the button, and then align left. We now want something, let's put a different background so we can see the lines. Something like this. We now want to pull the button all front and make a panel that covers the lines. It should be out without outline, and it should be the same color as the background. But the background is now not one color. That will make a big problem. Bring to front and zoom in and make this fit exactly to cover up everything but the lines. So now it looks like the lines is drawn on the edge of this one. So let's go ahead and make the flip switch. We start out with a circle. Now we're going to go to 3D format and increase the depth. It's increasing, but we can't see it. We need to go to rotation and rotate it like 30 degrees. Now we can see it's growing backwards. So let's go up to, let's go to 45 points. Now we want the perspective of this, but this fields doesn't open up, and I don't know any other way to do it than to go through the preset of perspective. Now it opens up and we can adjust it all the way up to 120 degrees. So now we have 3D rotation 30 degrees, and we will make the counterpart of this. But for that, observe this. I now make 4 identical copies of this one. This one, I'm going to use the size and position to turn it 180 degrees. Same with this one. Sorry. With this one, I'm going to use the 3D rotation to turn it minus 30 degrees. That's 330 degrees. And see the color now. The color difference here is coming. So if I do the same thing here, 3D rotation 330 degrees, and then size 180 degrees, You see the color is totally different due to the light is handled differently. So I would prefer these two. And now we need a panel to make a hole in. So let's take a copy of this, place it here. And this is still a circle, even though it looks like something else. So I can use this to subtract the hole in the panel. So now I need it in the front and adjust it with the keyboard buttons exactly in like this. And then to bring the other one in, I need to see exactly the hole. So this one looks perfect. I'll send it to the back and make this one come in and cover up completely. So now we can put on the colors. Let's this be the red one. And then we put on the control line, because now we're going to take out this graphic. So no fill, red line, very thin, like this. Make sure that it's big enough to contain the other one that's it's behind here, like this. Now we can select everything, copy, bring it up here, paste it, cut it, just the cutting, and crop it, and make it transparent. Oh, I wasn't exact on this one. I'll have to adjust this one pixel, crop it, and make it transparent. So this is the first one we're going to store. I'm not going to do it now because you know how to do it. And then go back here, push this one to the back, select the other one, should be around here, bring it to the front, fill it with green, and then we can do the same operation again. Copy, paste, don't expand, adjust the control lines, magic wand, and done. And as you saw here, this is an example of this. So now let's produce the radio buttons. We need some space. Let's take out this. We can start out with the panel. Something like this, and then the buttons, make them 3D, text it, and then we're going to make them stick out, depth of something around here. Then we need to rotate it, so we're going to tilt them like this. So now we have a button sticking out. Make some copies of it. Oops. Retext it. Oops. Now we can zoom in and make them exactly fit like this. We can't use snapping now because we are faking the perspective, but we can always top align them like this. Something like this. And then we make one of them stick out a little less. like this, and then we have to move it manually to the top line, the others, and it will now look like it's pressed, and we can even further enhance that, not the shape, text, by building a yellow color. So if we now put this on the background, like this, and where did the color go? Low, like this. We can now shift all this graphic when pressed to simulate that the buttons are moving. So this was everything for this time. Thank you.